I think we should warm up before we get dark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll have a light intro.
Okay.
We'll talk about just what's going on.
How's the market? I've been seeing you a lot lately.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff. It's been exciting. And it's what's exciting about the stuff that we're doing is it's really giving me a bit of that creative satisfaction where instead of just shooting the house, just shooting, like, because it's especially in the spring market when things are like, let's go. We're taking a bit more of our time developing a story, a script, thanks to ChatGPT as well for expediting some of that process. But then you've been bringing me some awesome properties to play in. So it's been great.
Sellers love it. They get really excited about it, especially if it's an emotional sell for people, like that Arden property that we did. Like, that was an easy decision for them to let go of it. And so then to be able to give that to them as a gift is really cool. We put them in the video. Yeah.
It was funny when, like, coming up to that property, it was like, it's so amazing. It's beautiful. The windy road, everything. And then you go to the house and it's like, the house.
No.
The house is rough.
Yeah.
Well, now we can't use this, right?
Well, it is. It's rough, right? But my philosophy on real estate anyways is like, you want to lean into what the property is and not hide the thing from it. Like, you don't need to emphasize the flaws, but you don't want to hide it either.
Well,
but we emphasized the lifestyle, and that's what it was.
And with that property specifically, like, we just talked about, we barely showed the house in the video, and somebody in Toronto, we did targeted ads, saw the video and came down in the first couple days to see it. And
was that the buyer?
Yeah.
Sweet.
And put in an offer right away. And we put it on like 200,000 over what it should have appraised out at.
Wow.
We just were going for it.
Unreal.
Because like I said, the house was rough.
Yeah. It made me want to be
was just a trailer.
Or a country girl.
It goes to show, though, like, how important marketing is. Like, the video caught someone's eye. The fact that you boosted the post got it to where it needed to be, and then they loved
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of agents aren't doing that.
No. Which is crazy.
Even with photography, like, there's a couple people who are really good, and there's some people I'm like, I don't know why anyone is using them, and you can tell. And you can, like, the worst thing you could ever hear is when you take a buyer into a house and they go, oh wow, this is way nicer in person
than the photos.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to see it. I didn't think it looked good. Yeah, than the photos.
It's funny, sometimes we'll get the opposite effect where it's like, the photos look better.
Way better than the house. Which is like, and finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
And also you use a fisheye lens because you want to show the entire space. You want to show what's happening in that. But then it distorts what's happening. People come in and say, oh, this room is way too small. Yeah.
That's probably the biggest criticism in real estate photography. It's like, because it is wide angle and people are like, oh, well, it makes it look distorted. And there is distortion that you're seeing, but it's like, do you want to see the whole room in one shot or not? But that's why for us, we usually do multiple angles of the room as well as with detail shots. So you get a bit better of a space. And then if you're doing video, if you're doing a 3D
Well,
tour,
and if we
things
have
like
the
that,
3D
right?
tour, I always tell people, do the 3D tour before you go in and do the street view. Because how many times have you gone to somebody with I don't like the way the neighbor's house looks, or I don't like what's across the street. I didn't know that it was near a busy school. Like, you could have really saved us a lot of time and saved the seller time cleaning the house and getting ready.
We shot a house that was near a quarry, but they didn't they wanted aerial, but they didn't want any shots showing the quarry. And that's where I was like, well, actually, it's probably better to at least have one shot of that so they're aware. Because how much time are you going to save if you don't have all these people coming through and they drive up and like, oh, there's a quarry there. I don't want to live next to the quarry. Right?
I just drove to Perth the other day to show a house, and it was right beside a massive parking lot. And these buyers, they've been very adamant, like, we want somewhere private. And honestly, I should have just looked at a Google Map view, but in the photos, like, it looked like this stunning rural property. It was on an acre. You don't assume it's going to be beside a public parking lot. And I was like, shit, I wish if they had one aerial shot, we could have seen what was around that.
Yeah. How has I guess we're now into the summer market officially as of last Friday. We're in summer. Yeah. How is things out in the wild? What's happening?
I think it's a great market, truthfully, which I think is maybe a hot take. There are a lot of different opinions, but I think if things are priced well, if they're marketed well, they're moving close to asking if you have it at a good spot. For buyers, definitely they're coming in and trying to negotiate as much as they can. And I think not a lot of sellers are used to that, where we're used to that from, 2018-19 markets. That was very common. People would come in 30, 40 under ask.
Years,
Yeah, and that was just normal to negotiate, where now people are like, oh, that's
We're
offensive.
also
We're not
in
gonna touch
this
it.
like sweet spot right now where if you have a nice house and it's priced well and it's marketed well and staged well, you can make money and sell it relatively quickly, but there's deals out there still. So if you're buying and selling in the same market, you might actually get out ahead with what you're going to buy on the other end, which we haven't really been in that zone in a while because either you're losing money or, you know, everybody was going crazy with multiple offers and you were kind of, you know, not in a position to negotiate. So it's cool.
I think this market too, like it's a lot more work for agents, which a lot of them are maybe not used to the amount of work that you have to do to move a property now. Yeah. Like if you think you can just get great photos, put it online, it's on MLS, you post one photo, do an open house, that's not happening. Like absolutely not. That's not the way of things now. Like there's so much follow-up that has to go into it. You're constantly checking the market for updates to provide to your sellers. You have to do so much more to get things moved. And I don't think that means it's a bad market whatsoever. I think things are doing really well in our area. You just have to put in a lot more work.
And get it in front of people's face, like reminders. Like you're not just doing one open house, do multiple so that you have something to post. So you don't have any objections for people coming from the city. Like they can get in and see it. Well, even for local buyers, there's a lot of people who aren't represented and they think that they need an agent to get into a house. So they take time to find an agent. Whereas if you put an open house and they see that online, they're just going to come see it themselves. So a lot of people say open houses don't sell houses, but we've seen a lot of benefits to doing it. And we have sold a lot of houses this year with.
That's my wife and I's date afternoons is like we'll go out to open houses together because we don't get enough of real estate as it is.
Yeah. Do you just leave your card on the table?
Yeah.
If you'd like to
well, a lot of the time, like we have shot it, and I try not to be gauche and be like, oh, I'm from Woodley, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's more so it's like we're kind of inactively looking for a house, but
who isn't?
Well, that's right. But the thing is, where we are, like we're in such a good spot. I was saying to Nicole earlier, like there's not really a lateral or forward move for the price range we're in. But I guess that leads to my question of like, do you think we're in more of a buyer's market at this point, or how would you define where we're at?
I'd say pretty balanced.
Yeah, it's definitely balanced if we're looking at it from like a technical standpoint. It may be teetering more into the buyer's market, just from like an inventory standpoint, because we do have a lot of inventory. But in terms of negotiating, I would say it's balanced.
Sellers are should be pricing reasonably. Yeah. So, I think it's pretty balanced. Buyers have more time to make more decisions. Sellers have kind of, they have to think about what's in front of them. They can't just reject an offer because it's not perfectly at ask or whatever. So.
It also, I guess, depends on the area you're talking about because it's seeing a lot of different numbers in sales. If we're looking in Northumberland or Quinte West, Belleville, the county, they're all very different. Like if you look at active listings in the county from, 850 to 1.2, I think there's like 100 listings. So yeah, that's definitely a buyer's market. They're going to go in and negotiate and they have a million options. So if they're not buying your house, they're going to go buy.
Yeah.
What percentage do you think that like of listings are still kind of in that kind of post-COVID pricing, or maybe they're upside down, or they're like, hey, they bought high and now they're trying to recoup? Like what percentage of those say 100 listings are
in the county
in that category where it's like you guys are kind of holding up what the average pricing should be because you guys are holding on to that extra 100, 200K that you shouldn't have spent at the height of COVID?
I feel like 80% of listings in the county.
A lot. Yeah. We look at everything that's sold every single week in our Monday meetings, and the county specifically, like we'll look at the new active listings, and typically that averages over 1 million. Like it's 9 to 1.1. And then we go over the solds and it's like 790. And you're kind of like,
why is there this big discrepancy
that's a
here?
big discrepancy.
Absolutely. And you also see people who bought during COVID. They bought at the height of the market for multiple reasons. Maybe they thought they were going to move here. Maybe they thought, okay, interest rates are low. We can pick up a secondary property. And interest rates have changed or their lifestyles change. And they're trying to not lose $200,000, $300,000. But you've got people holding at that price. And then you've got people who are realistic and have to sell. So it's hard for us when we're taking buyers out and they're seeing 10 properties. Like, well, why is this one listed at 700 and this house that's worse is at 1.5? It's really hard for buyers to wrap their heads around because the numbers are so skewed there.
How do you negotiate that with your sellers? Because like comparables have to be based on what has sold, not necessarily the listing price. So how do you practically get them to be like manage their expectations to be like, hey, your house isn't worth $1 million anymore. It's probably closer to 750.
So I actually turned down, I think, my first listing this past week, because I assessed a property from this gentleman who reached out in desperation in the voice, looked up the property. He was kind of spitting the facts at me about how great this house is, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, went and saw it, attended a property, not in great shape. He wanted a number that I marinated over. I said, we could potentially list for this price, but after a week we would go to this price. I got in my car, and in my gut, I remember calling Dom, and I was like, I don't think I should take this. And she's like, if you don't think it's going to sell, like, don't waste your time.
No.
Don't waste your money. Don't waste your effort. That's a far drive. And I called him back. I said, listen, I'm willing to list at this price, which in my opinion is still a bit high, but we can do that. No, I can't do that. So it is true that listing agents will turn down a listing, or should turn down a listing if they know that you cannot sell it. And if we got an offer for less than what the seller wanted, he wasn't going to take it.
Yeah, so why are you going to waste your money and your resources and your time?
So much time and effort and just the stress. And I looked up his other properties he bought during COVID. He told me he's bleeding money. So it's just one of those situations where I felt bad for him, but there's no point.
Yeah.
You have to be realistic. So
don't jump onto a sinking ship.
Yeah,
totally.
It's definitely showing people the numbers, doing a CMA, like looking at what's sold. Yes, you want to look at your competition to know what you're up against, but you want to look at what the bank is going to look at and explain to people, if somebody is getting a mortgage on this, which likely somebody is, we need to be able to justify that to the bank. And the appraiser coming in, like, this is what they're going to look at. And so you don't want to put yourself in a position of, let's just say a buyer does pay your asking price. Well, then we're having that difficult conversation later when they can't get financing because it doesn't appraise out. So there's lots of different like strategies. Also, like in a situation like that, we've all dealt with people in the last couple of years who are very desperate because of what happened during COVID. And I think it's like, if your end goal is that you are stressed and you're bleeding money, waiting and doing that slow burn of 6 months later, it's just more years off your life and day living stress. How am I going to buy groceries? How am I going to get through the week with the money that I'm bleeding? So let's just get this done now. Not everybody like is receptive to that, but we definitely have those conversations with people like, let's get this done. And how good are you going to feel once this is not a burden anymore? Take your loss, cut your loss, and move on. And those are hard. Nobody wants to have those conversations with people. Mm-hmm. You want to be a hero and be like, it's going to be okay. But really, at the end of the day, like we always say, like, your sanity is worth more than holding on to this house.
And there's a lot of pressure, I think, coming from just other agents as well to maybe accept that higher price what they want, because you have 10 other agents who are lined up behind you to get that listing.
Yeah, and who are desperate.
That's right.
And so someone will probably list this man's property for what he wants.
Sure.
And it'll be entertaining to watch, but at the end of the day, you can't prove that with any comps that it should be selling for that. So.
No. And honestly, your integrity in that moment is so important too, because if you go in and overpromise and then you can't get that, like, that's very disappointing for a seller too. So there's no point in being dishonest just to get a listing that isn't going to sell, or you're hopeful they'll reduce because they're in a stressed and pressured situation. Like, that's gross.
And we do see that. We do see that a lot, and we will have those conversations. Listen, if you're interviewing other agents, likely somebody will come in here and they'll tell you that they can sell this for this price. Yeah. But the reality is they're going to pick up leads from your listing and they're going to sell it to other people. And you're going to, 3 months from now, remember this conversation when you have to reduce. And it's not to bash other people's business, but you see it all the time. And it's just a terrible business model.
Well, and ideally you want that client to be a long-term client, right? So they sell this one, you want to buy their next house and maybe another house, and maybe they sell that one. And you want to be in a relationship with these people for 10, 15, 20 years. So,
absolutely.
So if you kind of kibosh your integrity off the bat and you've lost trust with them, then, there goes potentially, hundreds of thousands of revenue in the future for yourself.
Absolutely. And that's a huge part of our business model too. Like we're in it to build relationships with people, not just sell one house and then never talk to them again.
Yeah,
because
then it turns into an aunt and a brother, and then somebody gets married or somebody has a kid, and that's really fun that you get to follow that journey with people. Oh, my kids just moved out. I know you can remember when they bought the house and needed rooms with their kids. I like that part of the job.
Talk to me about buyers. What's going on in the buyer world? Are people coming out of the woodwork? Are they buying? What's the hesitation for them not buying? Are you guys working with a lot more buyers right now, or is it still mainly kind of sellers? Like we have high inventory right now. So what's going on that side of things?
I like working with buyers. I don't know. In this market specifically, you just have a little bit more time. You get to know them. You go out a few days.
There's a bit more hope than there was back in 2022.
A lot more hope than 2022. So I've really enjoyed this past year. It's been a bit, quote unquote, the market's been slower, but I prefer working with buyers because I like going out with them a few times and getting to know them. But really, it's just about zoning in on what is it that makes them tick. Because there's multiple houses, and we had this discussion in one of our meetings where I have these buyers, there's no rush. They're renting month to month from friends. They have no urgency to have to purchase, where we're walking to these beautiful houses and I'm thinking this might be the one, like this is going to be it. No, we're going to keep looking. So it's like, how do you A, make them not lose out on a house that they actually like, and B, get that sale, because you do have a little bit more time. So it's just figuring out what makes them tick, what is going to get them super excited about a property. And as the market shifts over into the summer, it has picked up a little bit, which is good. But yeah, I think it's been a pretty good past year for me anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think buyers have been different this year for sure in terms of, I would say, their sense of urgency. That's definitely different. Even if they're buying and selling, obviously if they're selling, they get something going, they're more likely to buy something quicker. But our first time buyers, I would say they're the ones that are taking the most time. They're very informed now. We have so many different systems and apps. They can go on and look up information. You can go on and see what their neighbor paid. You can see what they paid 10 years ago. So they're just being more cautious and mindful, which I think is great. But definitely it's a funny balance when you're in a sales career. But also, again, like we are very relationship based. So,
but don't you find this year buyers compared to last year, like they feel more confident buying a home? Like last year, everyone was scared. There's stuff going on politically. Like the interest rate just kept climbing and climbing. Mm-hmm. There's so much hesitation from buyers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the prices were still really skewed coming off COVID and not knowing where they were going to go. I find this year buyers seem a lot more
like comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not.
I think I'm more comfortable, which makes them more comfortable with the market, probably. To be honest.
Yeah.
Because before you're like, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I love with buyers too, like going in and reading them, similar to what Nicole was saying. Like it's really cool to go in, and I love studying them. And I'm like, okay, I can tell by their energy they don't actually like this house. And they'll try. Like I have this one couple too, and she'll go in and be like, this is interesting. And I'm like,
you hate it. You hate it. Just say you hate it.
Yeah.
Save us 20
Let's
minutes.
just get out the front door.
Yeah, I'm like, let's go to the next one. But I also love the aspect of it too, because then you can learn, and then you look and you're like, okay, I can tell. And it's very interesting too, which is a great point. I've noticed a lot of buyers are really leaning towards the staged homes. So obviously there's something more comfortable about a staged home versus an empty home. But even going into someone's atmosphere where it's all of their stuff, they have pictures of their 74 grandkids on one wall. You walk into that and you're like, okay, I'm in someone else's house.
Right.
Yeah.
When it's staged, it's clean, it's presentable. People can go in and literally, typically it's like a trendy stage too. We're not staging with boho bull pictures anymore.
Basic.
Well, some people are.
Subdivision
but
style.
It's just.
We have character in our stage.
We have character. And I'm getting off track, not to boost our staging. But I've gone into many beautifully staged homes, and I can tell the buyers instantly are like, oh, I like this. Like, we could set up the furniture the same. Mm-hmm. Could we buy this furniture? It helps them.
Yeah, I literally went through this yesterday with my buyer who we saw one house. She didn't get it. We went and saw the exact same layout because it was a builder home. Yeah. The exact same layout. Nothing was different. Finishings were a bit different, but it was a house that was lived in and wasn't staged. And I was like, this is literally the house that you offered on before, except for somebody's living in it. So there's stuff in here. And it was just a hard no. It was, no, it's too lived in. there's too much stuff in here. I'm like, Kate, close your eyes and envision none of this stuff in here.
It's the same house.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. And mind you, there was more wear and tear, but that would have been reflective of the price. But it's the feeling she got in her stomach where she's like, it's not the one. Where I'm like, this is literally the same house.
Yeah.
So it does make a difference.
And that's the power of good marketing, of storytelling, right? Because you're trying to get people to envision themselves in that space, and when it's somebody else's stuff, it's somebody else's story, and it's hard to put yourself in that mental space. So back to even like the Arden property, is getting people to envision themselves in that without making it too personal. And good staging is key.
And
Absolutely.
sometimes it's not possible. Like with that house specifically, we were able to get everything out of it and put all of our stuff in it, depersonalize it. And we know that, you know, you have to live in your home and people have kids and they have dogs. But if you're serious about selling your home, then detach from it. Look at this as a business decision now. Like, this is not your family home. How am I going to cash out on this investment and make the most money? Like, you have to do some work too.
How do you prep your clients to depersonalize their home? Because obviously, like, I mean, death and divorce is keeping our industry alive and well, right? So you're coming into an emotionally charged context most of the time. And with that, people have a lot of sentimental value on their decor, on their things, their family. You know, this is the room that they spent most of the time, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you, it's almost like a therapy session, I guess, but how do you get them from, I'm so attached to everything, this is our house, I maybe don't even want to sell because there's maybe a split or a death or something like that happening, or maybe it's a finance thing. How do you prepare them to get to the place where you can come in and basically kind of
clear it out,
emotionally bulldoze their house?
I think the biggest thing is like, okay, we're doing this. It's on, you're moving. Like, let's get your stuff out. Yeah. So packing it up is also therapeutic for people and helps us through the process later. When somebody has depersonalized it, and then if they get an offer, they've already switched their mindset a bit. Hopefully, that's the goal, and they're going through it. But to your point, when it's a death or it's a divorce, we can go in and help you. So it's not like you're not alone in this. Let me come over. I've got a team. We'll go through things. We'll pack stuff up, because people just get stuck and they don't know where to start. And I've heard this a few times when we go in, they go, wait, you're paying for the staging and you're coming in and you're helping, you're doing that? And then they ask again, wait, so we're not paying for the staging, you're going to come in and help? I think, and I don't know what other people's business models is, we've always included it, but I guess maybe people are told, here's the package and you should do it, and that's really overwhelming for people when they're already in a tough situation. So just envision yourself gone. Let's start packing now, like we're moving, and it's less to do later when we get an offer and you have to move.
And I think oh, go ahead.
I also think it's very important to get them excited about the situation. Like anything like grief, separation, anything like that, of course it's devastating, but you have to focus on like the excitement of the change too, and help remind them of that. Like, of course, we're very empathetic, you know, sensitive about the situation.
We'll even cry with you.
Yeah, of course. But you have to focus on that next step. So, you know, you focus on that for a second. It's kind of like anything in life. Like, sit in it, we'll talk about it, but we need to focus on the next step. Because the next step, maybe that means you're in a better financial situation. Maybe that means it's less maintenance for you, like less lawn upkeep. Focus on those things. And I like to, even if sellers are hesitant to get it up, I'll tell them, like, let's go and see these few properties that you're considering. Get them excited about it, and then they're willing to let go.
Yeah. What's that going to feel like? What's your goal? Really lean into that. Envision yourself there.
Yeah. And I've been leaning into the line of, if I was in your situation, this is what I would do. Like, I'm putting myself in your shoes. I understand this is hard. If it was me, I would get rid of X, Y, Z in here, and I'm going to bring in this for you.
Yeah.
So it's like, I understand what you're going through. This is what I would do, because then people trust you in that sense. If that's what you would do in that situation, then yes, I'm going to listen to her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So a big healthy dose of empathy goes a long way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's just natural too. You're having, like, you get to know these people, so you genuinely
care.
Yeah.
It's amazing how simple sales can be when you just reduce it down to relationship building.
100%.
It's just relationships, and then the rest kind of
There's so much psychology that goes into all of it, like when you're working with people, but also even marketing something. Like, we look at a listing, we pull it apart of, okay, who's the buyer for this? What is that buyer interested in? And even like targeted marketing, the things I'll promote on Instagram, I'm not promoting it to home buyers. I will literally go in and say, okay, this is a first-time buyer home. What is a 25, 30-year-old into right now? They're into dogs, they're into working out, they're into healthy eating. That's what you promote it to. So I don't know if everyone does that. A lot of people probably don't think that deep into things, but whenever we look at a listing personally, like we take it that deep of
who's
the
buying
psychology of who's buying it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's talk about just kind of we call it our surge season, and what comes with that, which is burnout. When things are going crazy, like I say, you're dealing with a lot of emotional context, so you're kind of carrying a lot of that secondhand or third-hand emotion that's happening. Plus, you're running a business, you're pushing through a lot of sales, high ticket items, right? It's not an easy amount of pressure to deal with. How do you, especially in this time of year, deal with that stress? Do you get burnt out? Is there a point where you're just like, frig, I'm done?
Yeah, you just cry in the corner. And
well, sometimes. I think it's really important to be honest with the people who are around you. So again, we have a lot of really great team support, and so I could call Dom, or I could call Nicole, or tell my husband, or share with my mom, like, oh, I had a really hard day. This is what's going on. I don't feel really great, or I'm having a hard time with these buyers, and I don't think that I have the energy to meet with them again. Like, can you? I think just really leaning on the people around you, because you're dealing with, from when we're in this busy season, it's like the minute you wake up, like this morning, I probably had 10 missed messages of things I had to respond to immediately. But I've got my kids that need my attention, and they need breakfast, and I need to get them out the door, and creating that work-life balance, but also really, it's like, this is probably a buzzword, but like setting boundaries for yourself with clients and being like, at this time, my phone is going on silent, and I'm not going to look at it again until the morning, because unless I'm talking to a friend, because otherwise you don't stop. There's always something that you could be doing, and you have to take a moment, pour yourself a tea, listen to the birds in your backyard, have a hot tub.
That's nice.
I love my birds.
Yeah, you're big into birds this year.
Yeah.
I have a bird feeder I haven't filled in a year.
Oh, I'll come put some bird
You
seed
should
in
fill
it.
it. Your place is perfect for
take
birds.
it.
You must get lots out there.
Yeah, I don't have time to deal with them though.
Oh my, you don't have to deal with them, just watch them. Like they're dealing themselves.
You just move your eyeballs towards them.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. I do garden breaks. If I'm editing from home, I gotta go under the garden, do a little light weeding.
Well, yeah, and you must know, because everybody wants your time. Like, how many times have just myself texted you probably in the past 2 weeks? Like,
that's when I
Yes.
just ignore Rachel. I'm like, message her later.
Put it on D&D.
we have this
Yeah.
great property going, we need you, and the sellers have unrealistic timelines, and
Yeah.
so then that becomes everybody's stress.
Well, it's a tough thing when you have, like, because ideally it would be great if you just had one thing to focus on at all times, right? It's like, I'm just going to do this one job and I'm going to fucking crush it, right?
Yeah.
I just cursed. I don't know if we're cursing on this podcast.
Bingo.
It's
Yeah.
happening
We
now.
are, yeah.
We are. Here it is. But then for me, I'm not a great multitasker. So I want to have that 100% capacity in everything I'm doing. But if I'm doing 10 things at the same time, whether it's like dealing with sales, pre-production, I'm editing, I got staff stuff, whatever it is, I'm not to mention kids, wife, home. For me, I need to give myself a lot of grace to be like, you know what? It's not an emergency.
Yeah.
They can wait a couple hours,
Yeah.
or they can wait till tomorrow to get a response in this. This is not a need to be dealt with right now. And that's a hard thing to prioritize depending on what the tasks
The mental checklist I have not figured out, and we all have it, where you lie awake at night and you have your mental checklist and you can't fall asleep, and it's 600 things you have to do, and then you wake up the next morning, your husband goes, do you need me to do anything today? And you're like, yes, literally, I need you to do 60 things, but that's I forget what the word for it is, but it's having to explain things on your checklist, like, okay, yeah, I need you to go to the grocery store and get XYZ, but you doing that and sending photos, that's more work.
Yes.
So I'm just going to do it. It's just on my checklist. Don't worry about it. And I appreciate that he's asking, but you're literally like, it's literally more effing work for me to explain to you what I need done. So I'm just going to do it myself.
I'm so guilty of that.
Of you from your wife, or like, what do you
if
want
wife,
for dinner?
My wife knows now. It's like, if she
Yeah.
sends me to the grocery store, she's like, it's in this aisle.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of the packaging.
Which probably
'Cause
took
I'll
her
go in
20
there-
minutes, and it could have taken her 10. You
See, See,
know what I
like,
mean? So it's
I
like, I'll
think-
just do it.
I think grocery stores, though, are a problem because they don't organize things well. Baking supplies should be all in the baking supply area, even
Okay.
if it's gluten-free. But they have a gluten-free area that's on the
Yes.
opposite. Anyways, I'm not going to rant about grocery
Okay.
stores.
Yeah.
Well,
But yes, I'm guilty of that. So
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I'm like that.
yeah,
I-
totally.
Maybe
So
that's
I
just a
haven't,
husband
yeah.
thing.
So I have not mastered how to translate that list in my brain. And he has his own list. So it's not just coming from like a woman's perspective. He has his own mental list that I'm sure I can't contribute.
We used to have a
Anything
big
to.
whiteboard in the house where we would just write it all because like Chris really needs to see it written down and he wants to like physically cross
Check
it
it
off.
off.
And that worked really well for a while. We haven't done that in a
a
bit,
while?
but
Yeah.
at the time when that was our system,
Yeah.
it worked. I was just speaking with a friend of mine yesterday, Chuck's wife, Mel, and she was saying there's a really great way to like organize your tasks. And it's like, what can you source out? What can wait and what needs to happen now? So if it's like cut your grass, do laundry, clean, it's like you're in your busy season, you're making money, just pay somebody to do those things.
Literally, I now have someone who does my laundry, cleans my house, does my pool, and deals with my property.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Oh my
that was actually
That's a
very
game
hard
changer.
for me because I am a very prideful person when it comes to independence. So me letting go of those things is actually extremely difficult. I'm sure that sounds like a big, oh, woe is me.
Yeah.
Someone does your laundry.
But
But
there's
like,
a lot of stigma against it too, right?
Totally.
Like we have a cleaner come in because both my wife and I work and our kids are in the daycare now, and but I have family members who will be like, oh, you get a cleaner? And it's like, well, yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
we're both working. It's they live more of a trad lifestyle, so it's a little different. But yeah, but once you do make that switch, it's like, why have I not been doing this forever?
Totally.
Like this makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think on the note of burnout and stuff too, I think vulnerability is so important when you're feeling those things. And that's something I struggle with. Like I've always been a very authentic person, but when it comes to being vulnerable in any of my relationships, I find that extremely difficult. So this season specifically, like I've been very overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed?
Are you okay?
Oh, no.
It's all right.
Let it out. This is a therapy session.
That's what the couch is for.
But I think it's important to show like the realness of that too.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in a position, like I don't just have a business and sell a house, like I have an online presence too, that it's a very weird balance of how much do I show up that, like people don't want to see the ugly shit, they want to see like the grit, the gratitude, like they don't want to see that you're upset. So I think it's hard to balance all that.
Well, but you also shoulder a lot. Like, how many calls do you, like, you're carrying a lot. You've got a whole team. Everybody relies on you. So you don't have a lot of time to feel those emotions because you got things going on. You got sellers, you got people who work for you. Like, you have to have it together all the time. And it's just, like, you got to feel those feelings sometimes and allow yourself to take a breather.
Yeah.
Do you want your hand back now?
No, I do think there comes a point though for everyone, which now I'm hitting a decade and I think I've absorbed so much personally, business wise, like there comes a point where you just fucking crack.
Yeah.
Like look at Bieber, poor guy.
You're not turning into Bieber.
No, I wish I.
But I think what you've done well, Dom, is you have, like you just beside you right now, literally and figuratively, you have people to support you and give you that space to express those things. I'm blessed to have a business partner as well who does that. Like yesterday, I was a grumpy bitch, and we were on the phone, and I was just grumping, and he was like, "Okay." Like, but it was like,
And then Rachel texted me 10 times saying she needs me next week.
but it's, and then, it's, and some days too, it's like, I'll have breakdowns and I'm just a mess. And, my wife as well, giving me that space to, okay, let it out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's reconfigure and let's move forward.
And I think that's so important too, because I am not an emotional person typically. Like I literally typically cry 3 times a year. So for me to experience this,
one
I'm
for
like,
the year. Yeah.
literally, I'll probably cry 15
One
times
for the
a
year on
One down.
camera.
Yes, that's right. It's documented.
Documented.
lately, like learning how to navigate that too, I've learned like you have to let yourself feel those feelings because I don't have that in a day where I'm like, I never just get grumpy. I never let myself feel emotions. I'm like, I'm on all the time. I have to be perfect all the time. I have to be there for my team. Like, I'm the support for so many different things in my life, and I don't have an outlet for that. Like, I do have amazing friends, but it's my own personal, I don't know if it's like pride, ego thing, but allowing myself to feel sad. Like, I actually get angry with myself. Like, I think it's embarrassing and I think it's disgusting, which is bizarre because I'm also
so supportive of people when they're sad.
I am the most empathetic person, but when it comes to my own emotions, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
how dare you be a human being?
Are you sad? Yeah. So,
well, I think you even saying that out loud right now is you realizing that it's okay to.
Yeah, this is a big moment.
Yeah, and when you're an emotional sponge for your clients, you take it on. You're bound to crack at one point, especially if you're going through stuff in your personal life. So it is completely reasonable that at a certain point you're going to have a breaking point.
And I think that it's also important to remember, and maybe clients wouldn't want to hear this, but there aren't any real estate emergencies. There are things that are going to happen. There's things that we have to deal with, but like, you're okay. Like, we're all living a pretty blessed life here where we are. Like, if we're looking at the big picture of what's going on, like, we're all okay. And so to remind people, like, take a breath. We're going to get through this. This doesn't feel good right now. And I know we're dealing with a lot of money, and that's stressful, but we're a team and we're going to get through it. And kind of like grounding, because everything gets really heightened and everyone's feeding off of each other's negative energy or bad energy. And we can just get into this tailspin that's bad and feel like you need to be there for people all the time. And if I'm not at my best self, and if I'm not setting boundaries in my like personal relationships as well, then I'm not going to be able to do that with clients. So everyone needs to work on themselves, and it's a requirement to be in therapy.
Yeah, I should do that.
Highly recommend.
I've heard it's good.
Highly recommend. But even like setting those expectations for those clients, you're spending a lot of this emotional energy, or emotional XP as I like to call it, because I'm a nerd, and it does drain you over time, and it's almost in the background and you don't realize it, and then you'll come up to a point where all of a sudden it's like when you get sick is when you actually got nothing going on, because your body has been constantly stressing. Like, you can't get sick now. You're not allowed to cry right now.
Yeah.
And then it wears and wears, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, you've been carrying all this, and you let it out and you feel better, and it's good. But
So to answer your question, yes, we get burnt out. Yes,
we are burnt.
We are burnt out.
Yeah. And every year it's like the same thing. It's always around this time of year. I'm like, oh my God, I need 10 of me.
It's the first time I've experienced it, but
It's good. It's good to let it out.
it is. I think it's good. And I'm grateful for it. Like, I think it'll help me to be softer with myself. And
Yeah, you can be your
Allow
biggest
myself.
enemy.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's so hard I've been really dealing with this idea of what self-love actually is, and realizing that even though you may have seemingly like good self-confidence and all that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, actually, I struggle with that. I don't see myself as someone who's worth taking care of, because I'm so busy prioritizing other people in your life. And that can be its own reward, but if you neglect yourself, then eventually, that foundation is just going to crumble at some point. So body, soul, and mind, you got to be doing it. And like, so it's gym, that's therapy, that's meditation, whatever it is.
Eating
good food. Yeah. That's
remembering to eat.
Yeah.
That's also key.
Yeah.
Though an occasional fast is good too.
So I've heard. Haven't tried it myself, but willing to give it a shot. Yeah. Anyway, what else we got, Ryan?
Well, let's go through. I guess Rachel, you want to do some rapid fire questions, and then
Sure, we can try.
down from there.
Like, I'm asking the questions?
I don't know. Do you want to ask questions? I can ask questions. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Because you just threw this on me at the beginning of the
I know.
episode.
Yeah, we did not.
Okay, what if
I said, Ryan, do this.
What if
and I
we
said,
each
okay.
ask a question?
Sounds good.
Like a hot take.
Oh,
Ooh, I like it.
Sure. Okay. You go first.
This is now the hot take segment of
Hot
the
take.
show.
Hot take. Okay. Okay, I have a good one, actually. I think the question, how are you, is a very invasive question. And I know that's very bizarre, because that's typically the first thing someone says. They'll say, hey, how are you? And for me, I don't know if it's just because of recently what I've been feeling.
Unwell. I am unwell.
But nobody wants the real response to that, and that's why it pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like,
Where nobody wants to give the actual response.
and nobody wants to give the actual
It's
response.
become
So why are we asking, how are you?
What about
Like,
how's it going? Is that
Terrible.
more chill? Like,
That's
how's
the
it going?
same thing, though, right?
Like, how's it going?
No, like, ask me what's up.
Well,
Most people don't
that-
actually
okay,
care, though, how you're doing, right? They're just saying it as
That's
a
the
greeting.
thing. It's like, hey, how are you? And you're like, you don't want my answer. You don't want me to tell you I just fucking cried all the way to this appointment. Like, I'm not going to tell you that.
I actually,
You know how you get around that? Instead of saying, how's it going, you say, it's good to see you.
that's what I was just going to say. So I think I'm
Okay.
pretty good at being like, oh, it's been forever since I saw you. What are you up to? What have you been doing? Like, are you still living in the same spot? I try to ask people, and I think that's just being in real estate. You are trying to get information from people, and so you get good at asking different questions.
Yeah.
But if it's my good friend, it's very different if I'm like, how are you? Versus,
Yes.
hey, how are you?
Yes.
How are you
Yeah.
doing?
That's literally how I greet people. Hey, how are you? I'm gonna have to work on that.
Well, let me tell you
Yeah.
about my.
Yeah.
Here's my notes from my last
God.
therapy session.
Okay. Noted.
That's my hot take. Next.
No, I like
Sure,
it.
hot take.
That's a good one.
Okay, someone else go. I don't have one yet.
But see, I always like when I go to hot takes, it's always like politics. So
Right.
I'm like-
Well,
Let's
that's
not
where
do
my
that.
so it's like controversial.
that's where
Yeah.
my mind just went, and then I went. I'm
It's
not
I
gonna
can do it.
that.
I can do it. Sans Orange Man. Okay.
I love that.
Yeah. It's easy. We can stay in Canada. Like I guess the question is, what do you think that post-election now is the real estate industry headed into a better space or a worse space now that we are in have a new government?
I think that it's better simply because it's over.
It's over, literally.
And
Yeah.
it's not to do with who was elected, because it's always like the devil you know or
Yeah.
the devil you don't. Like nobody's
Yes.
coming in and making all the, like, we all know everything that they said is not going to happen. Things are going to be uncovered. That it's just, it's done and it's over with. And now people feel like I can go ahead and focus on something else because it was such a topic of conversation. And I really think that that was linked to what was happening also in the US, what was happening with interest rates. There was just a lot on people's minds that making them like anxious and apprehensive. And like it came up every showing that I had, every open house that I had, a buyer or a seller was finding like an excuse to talk about politics. And since the elections happened, nobody's brought it up
I haven't
once.
talked about it in like
Isn't
2
it
months
so
with
nice
buyers.
now?
Yeah.
You just focus on the house, focus on what you
Yeah.
are buying. Like,
I also think, I guess my hot take on that would be, I don't think people truly even know like what one route or the other looks like in terms of how it was negatively or positively affecting anything. It's just
absolutely,
a
yeah.
topic. And everyone gets so fixated whenever we have any sort of
Whatever's
political
relevant.
Yeah, and they would fixate on it. And people love to do that. I think it's just natural. You're going to cling to whatever the hot topic is, and that's going to become your objection for anything.
It's the news cycle
It's-
dilemma, right? It's
absolutely.
just like what's going on. You gotta get
Yeah.
everybody's attention, and
Yeah,
what's
like,
gonna get
let's-
attention is negativity. And
Absolutely. Let's scare them. Let's make them think one way or another. But realistically, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I kept saying throughout the election, it was like I'm just gonna keep my eyes on my own paper.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah, but
know,
you're
all
doing
can
a
do
really
is-
good job
Yeah.
of being open-minded to just have those discussions with people, like, and staying neutral, like, at least in your professional life, because you were, interviewing everybody and asking great questions and getting that out so people were informed, which I thought was really cool. Like, nobody else was doing that in the area.
It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of
Yeah.
fun doing that.
Yeah, I like that.
And
was
it's
really cool.
hard, I think, I've never been in your position, but I would imagine it's hard to remain neutral and not put your own, like, biases on it. You were just
Well,
like,
it was
just
interesting
interviewing.
because it was easier than I thought it was going to be because like I've typically voted in one direction my whole life, and I'm coming from one side of the aisle, and this really forced me to be more open-minded and more objective, to be like, okay, like, well, here's something I hadn't considered. Maybe it's a different way to look at it. The problem is, though, I actually really connected with each of the candidates
Yes.
on a personal level. So I was
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I like all of these people.
Yeah.
Like,
you're all winners.
You're
so that
humanizing it.
yeah. Well, if anything, it was like I'm just done voting party, voting leader. I'm just going to vote for
person.
the person here
Yeah.
who I think who is a decent human being who understands the job and can do it competently.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it didn't really solve a whole lot of the bigger questions for me because I don't think politics ever really does. But
No.
yeah, here we are.
Everyone's a loser. No, I mean with politics, like it's a lose-lose situation. Not all the candidates.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was like, hot take.
Yeah. Well, it's like with that Churchill quote where it's like, it's the worst system out there except for all the rest. And
Right.
It's kind of like, yeah, it all just kind of sucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we are very blessed to be in the country we are, and that also through the election made me thankful. It's like, hey, there's a lot of places where you don't get the opportunity to have a vote or even speak freely on a podcast about controversial things. So
Okay,
true.
I just thought of a good question. Do you guys think social media is mostly good or mostly bad for the world?
Ooh, that's a great question. I've been pondering this all month.
Me too.
Because I've been like, do I just throw out my phone? Because I'm so sick of it.
Yeah.
I went to Apple Watch LTE so I can leave my phone behind.
Okay.
Game changer.
What is that? Oh,
It
like
has
so it's
data.
Like
connected
as
to your
the
phone.
so I can
yeah.
just Bluetooth to my watch and still be accessible, but without my phone.
Fancy.
I think that's what mine is. I just always forget to charge it and wear it.
Yeah.
What's the
What
answer,
was the
guys?
question? Oh, social media. Ooh. I don't know. I feel like I know so much more because of social media. News-wise, you guys actually chirp me for listening to the radio
Yeah, I
still.
hate the radio.
Yeah.
And the
Like, do
news.
you hear that on the radio? They're like, Nicole, no one listens to the radio. And I'm
Video
like, I
killed the
disagree.
radio star, Nicole.
I disagree. But for social media, it's a double-edged sword. I don't think there could be it's not going anywhere. So is it bad for the world? Yeah, probably. Is it good for the world? Yeah, probably. Like there's so much that I learned from that. The exposure for your business that you get with social media is like nothing we've ever seen before. And then there's literally videos I watch that are purely AI and I thought were real. So it's a dangerous,
so I was just going to say,
dangerous
like,
place
you're
as
saying
well.
you know so much more, but you're also just knowing what your algorithm is and what they want you to see.
Fair.
But,
Yeah.
you know, and then the next question is, like, are you going to let your kids go on social media? And at what age are you going to let them go
Yeah,
on?
I'm
And
avoiding that
I
as
know.
long as possible.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that. So then I think the answer is it's done more harm than it has.
Well, we were also like the experimental generation, right? Like I remember like when the first iPhone came out, I was in high school and it was like, this thing is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And forever I had my flip phone and my iPod Touch at the same time. So then when it combined into one, this was amazing. But in social media, I think Facebook came out like
Yeah.
14, 15,
Yeah, it
something
was
like that.
Yeah.
The scariest
What
thing
year are you?
is kids.
90.
90, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, the scariest thing for me is kids and
Yeah.
passing off
Yeah.
to that generation. Would you say that there was the whole tablet kid generation, which I don't know if this is am I an old millennial? Are we old millennials?
No, we're like
Pure
in the
millennial.
middle.
Okay, so
We're
the
like right in the
generation
middle.
just before us where it was like, as soon as the kid's out of the womb and they're 2, they have an iPad. Like, I think that is slowly fizzling out. I'm meeting more and more parents
Yeah.
who like, we don't, our kids don't have iPads or anything.
Ours don't either.
They watch TV, of course, but they don't
We have
have
the
iPads.
Yodos. Have you seen the Yodos?
Yeah, we
It's
have
like
those.
the
What is
Yoda.
that?
It's like a little MP3 player kind of thing. and
Oh,
there's
okay.
cards and you put it in so they can listen to.
Cute, yeah. So we got my girls MP3 players, which
Nice.
I preloaded music and got them earphones, and they thought it was the coolest thing ever. But there's
Yeah.
no screen. I control what it's
Yeah.
like, literally like an original iPod or whatever. But slowly but surely, I find people are phasing that
Regressing
out.
from that. Good.
Well, like any technology, I think we're learning from it, right? Like when the
Yeah.
car was first invented, they had no rules of the road and people
100%.
kept dying. And they're like, hey,
Yeah.
maybe we should create a stop sign. you
Yeah.
know? Things like that.
Yeah.
So I think we're still developing it on that side.
Yeah.
And
But-
you hate to judge, but when you see people just, their kids are whining and crying and they're just giving them the iPad, it is so bad for their brain development.
Oh, I judge
And,
them hard.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
judge them hard.
Yeah.
Not out loud.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
Internally,
No,
though,
in your
me and my
head.
wife look at each other and we're like,
Yeah.
look at those pieces
And
of shit.
kids that
Like,
can't
you
go
know
in the
what?
car without an iPad, like
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
kids don't ask for an iPad when they get in the
The
car.
biggest issue with that, and I think the biggest issue with any person, is they're not learning emotional regulation.
Yeah.
Like, if
Yeah.
you're bored, be bored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Totally.
pick a fucking worm out of the mud
Yes.
outside. Like, you have to learn how to be bored. You have to learn how to be sad. Okay, you're upset because we're in the car. Why?
Yeah.
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 And I
Because
fall.
you're-
Sorry, go ahead.
Like, because you're confused, because you don't know where we're going. Like, there's a
Yeah.
solution, and that needs to be discussed, and you have to pinpoint. Also, I'm not a mother, but I love children, and I love studying them. And I just find it, like, my child will not have a fucking iPad.
Oh, and
Ever.
during that heat wave, because it was like so crazy to do anything, and my middle son was inside daycare all day playing with kids, just screaming, not going outside, really overstimulated, came home overwhelmed. So I thought, okay, it's really hot. We're just going to put the TV on for like an hour while I'm making dinner. And he was a nightmare. And I thought, ugh. I did not help him. He didn't need that after the day that he had. He probably needed connection. We should have sat and colored or read a book, but it's like I had too many things to do, so I put him in front. But to your point, he's not
regulating his nervous system, and it's not, you can see some kids I think can handle that more than others, but he is a kid that if he's in front of a screen too long, like just TV, it's like he's having a meltdown, and it's not.
And I totally
okay.
don't want this to come across as like, oh, we're totally judging and you're a bad parent, blah, blah, blah. Because there are certainly times when I'm like, sit your butt down, watch TV while I cook dinner. That absolutely happens. Yeah. I just find that I do like the trend now where less and less friends of my daughters have iPads.
That's great.
Which is good. And there's going to come a time they're going to ask for a cell phone. Everyone's going to have the cell phone. And it's really hard when they're 10 years old now and they have the cell phones. They don't have social media on it, but it's like the gateway drug, right? And you're like, you can only hold it off for so long until you're the asshole parent who doesn't let their kid do stuff. And then are they going to retaliate because they're the only ones that don't have it? Yeah. So if anyone figures this out, let us know, because I have no idea.
This is why I'm involved at like with the PTA and stuff at school, because like I want to be in there to be like, all right, we're coming this as a team, guys. We're gonna set a standard here that nobody's getting a phone.
Well, you know what?
Until they're like 16.
Too is like when we were in high school, you were not allowed to have phones even in the hallways. Like that was banned bad. Like slap on the wrist. Now I'm pretty sure kids in elementary school are allowed to have phones out.
That's wild.
And it's just so strange to me that there's no time where you're just without a device.
You know what? That is so hypocritical of me though, because, and my kids can attest to this, and with our work, my phone is attached to my hand.
I know it is. Yeah. And I don't like it.
They see it from me where I'm literally like, and like, oh, our irrevocable's an hour. I literally can't put this down for an hour until we figure this out. Yeah. And I feel so bad sometimes where it's like, mommy, and it's like, I'm a big hypocrite in that sense.
Well, so it's difficult because it's your tool as well, right? It's not just, but it's also entertainment, and it's also it's everything. So it's building decent boundaries on it for ourselves to teach our kids is going to be an important one. But I think on the subject of social media, like it is designed for dopamine release, right? Absolutely. And if you're just getting those hits, right? Like I'll even find myself just opening my phone and just doing this. I'm not even looking at the screen. Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I don't even have a phone in my hand.
It's like this. I'm an addict. That's why I did.
Or you pick it up and put it down and pick it up and you're like, wait. I think I just checked my phone 3 times for nothing. Do you guys ever get phantom vibrates where you think your phone 100%,
yep. all the time.
Every time it happens,
I leave my phone
like,
elsewhere, and it's like,
I need to not touch my phone.
Yeah, it's bad. Let's just boycott.
I swear by the Apple Watch, do the LTE thing, because then it's like, what if somebody needs? They can contact me, text, phone.
You can put your
but
phone
I'm not
down,
scrolling, and then I can go out and be focused.
Yeah.
Also big game changer too. Meta glasses.
What are those?
Have you seen the Meta glasses? Mm-hmm. So Meta has these Ray-Bans that have cameras in them. So if you want to record like a nice family moment, just tap it on and you can be involved, and then it's filming the moment instead of like you're with the phone in front. Because you kind of always feel like an asshole when you're like, hey, the kids are doing something cool. Like let's pull out the iPhone and they get to see the back of your phone instead of your face. Yeah. I bought them for my wife. And because she does social media management, so like use it for social media creation. Cool. I borrow them all the time now because they're great for BTS as well and stuff like that. But
very cool.
My opinion on social media, I think it's very bad for relationships, which again might be a hot take. But like, I don't think a married 40-year-old man who's not using it for business needs to have an Instagram account.
But the woman can.
Yep. Yeah.
Social media is a heavy majority female.
Disagree on your hot take.
Female users. So I don't disagree with you, because
like they're not going to Instagram to look for a garden hack or how you can change your
you don't know my husband. He'll literally be like, have you seen this cool thing that we can do with this shack and you can put this there? I'm like, I'm not worried about him whatsoever.
Yeah. It's like it's just all home reno porn.
Literally.
Yeah, it depends. And I mean,
does he follow Dude Dad?
How you're
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not
It's
sure.
I think
it's like house stuff also, I think.
It's basically that.
Yeah.
I think my opinion has been skewed now that I am single, though. The amount of attention I get from married men on social media is disgusting. It literally makes me want to delete my account. Every time I go on, literally if I pulled up the selfie I posted this morning, guarantee out of 50 likes, half of those are married men. And it is disgusting. It literally has skewed my view of love. Oh yeah, I'll literally, if they message me, I'm like, why are you messaging me? What are you trying to get out of this? Take this energy.
You should call them
this
out.
Gross, lustful energy. Take it. Every time you want to message me, okay? I'm saying this to all the married men who like my shit. take that lustful energy.
Note, stop liking
Grab
Dom's stuff.
your car keys, go to the store, okay, go to Walmart, get your kids some diapers, buy your wife flowers, go home and shag your wife. Leave me alone, okay? Period. That's how I feel about
You heard it here,
we live
folks.
very different
Leave
lives
Dom
right now.
alone.
Leave me alone. I don't want you. Your wife probably doesn't even want you.
It is a
Don't
real
like-
problem on social media. Like it is, because
Yeah.
it's not just, oh, here's an image that someone can look
Yeah.
at. It's then they can message you directly and
Yes.
privately, and it's like,
And
I don't think
it's inappropriate. Like, you
I
don't
think
need to like
100%.
my selfie.
100%. It's
That's inappropriate. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to give me that attention. I don't want that attention from you. I don't need it. Why are you doing that?
But I think it's also back to your point of like, it really is a tool. Like I used to just have like my Instagram for personal, and then I switched it to a business account like, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And I'm like, I don't even know why I had this.
Divide.
Yeah.
I still have 2. I don't know why.
I have
Yeah.
3
I just
accounts.
I used to have
post,
two, too.
yeah, I post my kids less on my.
I only
business
post
one
my kids
versus my
on
private.
my
Private?
Facebook. Like I'll put them in the
Yeah.
in my story, but like a picture, I only put them on my Facebook because it's all
Yeah.
family.
I have a hot take. I completely respect people not putting their kids on social media. I think that's 100% fine.
I know where we're going with it.
But sometimes when they only post the photo and then put the emoji, like a flower over the face, why not just not post it?
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I don't. My wife does.
She does?
I think it's to like say,
But why
here's
not?
here's this nice moment I'd like to share, but I don't want you to be a creep and.
I guess so. But like if you're posting like first day of kindergarten, then you put a flower emoji
yeah.
over their face, it's like,
No,
just put that picture on your wall.
My wife will do more like if it's like
It's
a
the only person in
wider
the
shot
photo.
and they're in the photo, not a photo of them,
Right, like in
right?
a
Like
family
it's-
event day out, whatever. But if
Yeah.
you're just sitting your kid down on the couch and then putting an emoji over their face, why post it at all?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
One of my
I've
best
never-
friends
I
has
respect
never
not posting.
posted a
Yeah.
picture of her child.
And
And I
that's
asked her, I was like,
totally fine.
why did you guys decide to do that? And she's like, well, when we had her, like, my husband just asked, why do you feel like you need to share a photo of her?
Yeah.
And she's like, good point. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
I-
where I just have like my personal private one that's like family and friends. So I want
Family
to
and
share
friends.
things with them.
Yeah.
That's where that lives. I have my professional account, which is everything I do here, and then I have like my yoga account, which is just more of a creative outlet.
Aw.
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of
I think I have
it's on its own
17
over
Yeah.
there.
accounts,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
get that.
So
Yeah.
it's-
So I don't need.
I just
have
like to
a-
compartmentalize
yeah,
things.
I need
right?
I need to ponder that more because I try not to post too much of my kids on my business page, and I get you're doing a cool family event thing. They're out there. You want their privacy, but I just don't get the only your kids are in the photo, and then you cover their face and block out a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like just don't post it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know, it's like, where's the balance? And I also respect both sides of
I
it.
do
If you
too.
don't post your child at all, sweet. Love that
Yeah.
for you. If you want to post every moment they're doing, like, I'm also going to be probably the
Well,
first one
Chris
in
and
your
I were
life.
just
Like,
having this discussion because I wanted to use the kids in a lifestyle shoot, like, and put them in the video.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I just want us to talk about this a little bit. Like, how much do we want to put them online? Do we want to put them in a video that's going on MLS? Like,
Right.
that's attached to you? Like, let's explore this, see how we feel. I was like, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. Let's just talk about it. And that was his gut reaction. And I was like, oh, I just never even thought that it was going to be an issue too.
Yeah.
But I like respected that he brought that up. And I thought, yeah. You're right. I'm not posting them on my like business account. So maybe.
I know. I don't know what the right
I
answer
feel
is.
I can tell you my experience with it because I've had my son in a video, and then I've also had like child models for shoots and stuff. It's always been super weird and uncomfortable and awkward, and I feel like I'm using them
Yeah.
and exploiting them. Like with my son, like he had it fun. It was really
Yeah.
cute. The video was great, but then as the filmmaker, I was like, oh, now I'm done.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And that feeling like sits right in my chest every time I think about it, and it makes me want to puke because I'm like, no, I feel so bad. But the video was amazing. It was super cute. And, he just, because I remember there's just a moment where he kind of looked confused. Like,
He's like, why am I
what's
here?
happening? Like, what?
Right.
Okay, we're pretending, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we had one photo shoot. It was like, I think she was like 5 years old or something. And I could hear her mom saying, well, if he asked you to hold the man's hand, you hold the man's hand. I'm like, whoa.
No, don't do that.
Fuck that. I'm not going
Yeah.
to be saying, hey, hold this stranger's hand.
Yeah.
Just because, it's just so weird and uncomfortable.
Yes.
So I'm like, it's not, yeah. That was my experience with it.
No, I love
And
that.
generally
Thank you for
child
sharing.
actors don't
Yeah.
They usually have some struggles.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't know how to navigate
I think
social media in the world these days.
when I start having kids, I think I might just Kylie Jenner it. Like one day just be like,
What's up?
there's my baby. 9 months later, like I'm not going to post that I'm pregnant.
Sorry, I don't follow.
I was like,
Yeah, like you guys are lost.
I'm sorry.
But
Like
I knew
who?
what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just, I'll be like, yeah, I had a kid.
Yeah.
I have not kept up with the Kardashians.
yeah.
I think that'll be really hard for me though, because I post several times a day, but we'll see.
You can just post your face.
School, yeah.
I barely posted except you had team photos done when I was pregnant, and
You were easy to hide too.
it was a little.
Yeah, you were.
But I do think you're right though. Like using it at social media as a tool, though, I think that's where I see kind of the future of it go. Where it's like instead of just hey, here's whatever, which there'll be a social media part of that still more on the private side. But as far as how we utilize it in real estate, I think it's still such a functional a way of establishing trust with your prospective clients and your buyers and sellers, that you can give an authentic approach to different things. You can actually talk about different matters, educate your clients on a platform that is accessible. So I think that's more the direction I would like it to go and see it going, and it could be something really good. But like anything, it can be used for good or for evil, right?
Yeah.
So, food can be a good thing or it can be a horrible thing.
And it's not
depending on-
going anywhere. So
Yeah.
I think it's a lot about perception too, of like how you're actually digesting the content. Like I know a lot of people, if they see a TikTok, they look at it, they digest it, they think it's real, they scroll to the next one. Like I hate TikTok. Also, that would be my other hot take.
I'm not on.
I've never been a TikTok person. I think I had it for 5 minutes, posted 2 listing videos. Don't use it. Because I think it's very untruthful. And I am a very analytical person again, so I don't just look at something and think, okay, that's true, move on. I will sit there and I question it. And I think it's untruthful before I think it's truthful.
Well, and the algorithm changes so quickly on TikTok. Like I had the app for a little bit and I watched a video, it was like a kidnapping or something. And then immediately it was like, that's what she likes. And that's all I saw. And it was really dark. Everything that I was like, I gotta get off this.
You have to, I don't go on the TikTok, but Instagram, I have to you have to navigate your algorithm.
Yeah.
Like you can say, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Like, even you get all the booby girls on
Those-
there. As a man, they pop up. They happen. So it's like I gotta intentionally get rid.
Honey, I don't like this content.
Yeah. Well, so I'm just a man,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
and I see an image. It's whoa, that's what pops
Yeah,
up to me on
yeah.
the screen. But I have to intentionally
Well,
clean
yeah.
that out, or else it's going to be just constantly there. And then it's like, hey, your phone is just like basically
Garbage.
a soft porn.
I'm
machine.
really into those carpet cleaning videos. Please tell me you know
Yes,
what I'm
yes.
talking
Well,
about.
they use those to do they tell a news story and they see the carpet cleaning time lapse.
Yes.
Yeah, I love
They take
those.
the
Those are
dirtiest
so good.
carpet. This sounds ridiculous. Like a carpet like that. It's been out in the mud for 2 years and it's on this white floor and they just professionally clean this carpet. And I will watch the whole 4-minute video. It is the most satisfying. So those are my algorithms.
That's so funny.
Or I'll find a very, very good house hack where I'm like, I need to delete this. I'm wasting too much time. Then I'm like, that is genius. And then it keeps me hooked.
it
So
knows.
I have a lot of healthy food that I'll never make.
Yes.
It's like
so
make this
many-
amazing fudge bar
Yes,
thing out of
100%.
just
So
these
many of
5
those
ingredients.
saved.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, save it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not making that.
when Pinterest was a thing, which I know is no longer a thing.
It's
People
still a
still
thing.
use
I
it.
still use the
That's
Pinterest.
because we
I
are
love
millennials and we'll never let it die. But I had a private board and I think it was called If I Ever Decide to Work Out. And it's like hundreds of workout videos and exercises. It's like,
No, I love Pinterest so much.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's also the only app still that is majority of photos.
Right.
We're like,
and it's all linked out. So if you,
Yeah.
it's like not just a photo, but information attached to it.
Yeah.
So
So
it's like,
hot-
hey, you like this garden thing?
yeah, and
Here's
it's
the
not
website.
like opinion based. There's no, sometimes it's just a photo.
And nobody actually comments on shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
hot
just-
take, Pinterest is no longer chuggy.
Let's bring
Safe.
it back.
Yeah. That's on our approved list of
Yeah.
apps. I have a showing.
Oh,
All right, perfect.
I know.
Well,
We've been rambling for a
That's
while.
our that's our cutoff.
Everyone
then.
picked up their phone at the same time.
There's like,
I don't even
speaking of,
have
it's
it
like,
on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you do though, kind of.
Well, I know, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just get to look at pictures of my kids.
Oh,
Nice
cute.
and cute.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for letting us ramble.
Well, this was great.
Yeah.
Thanks, ladies. This was fun. We'll do it again soon.
Yep.
And
Well, we've been trying for months.
yes,
Let's be-
well, it's spring market. It's
Yeah.
just it's always crazy.
I have
So, anyways,
700 notifications.
Same. Yeah.
Till next time.
Thank you. Till next time.
Until next time.
Keep
Bye.
it real, guys.